But speaking of Aristotle,
Yeah.
there is actually something something I kind of wondered about in the ethics.
I'll do my best.
Where is it? Yeah. Um, so this edition is nice because the translators are not like super opposed to St. Thomas, and
Hmm.
um, they actually bring him up in footnotes every so often um,
That's interesting.
as a way of clarification.
What's the
Um,
edition? I don't know that I know it.
this is so the translation is Robert Bartlett and
Hmm.
Susan Collins,
Oh,
and
okay.
it's Chicago University Press or University of Chicago Press. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, I picked it up because it's the one because I've been getting kind of tired of the Ross translation, which I've read since undergrad, and then
Hmm.
and this is the and this is the one that this is the translation that TAC uses. So I figured that it's a decent translation, but
Yeah.
um, okay, so the question I had to do with the incontinent man,
Hmm.
or as these people translate it as the man who lacks self restraint.
Okay.
Um,
This is book
uh,
7.
yes, book 7. I'm in chapter 3.
Okay.
Um, I can give you the Becker number too, but I don't know. 1147A, around 5, a little after 5.
Okay.
Um, or at least, well, kind of that paragraph. Because he's trying to talk about um, how they're like, what basically what goes on in the mind and in the reasoning process of an incontinent man, right?
All right.
Um, so he brings up how there's the universal premise and then the particular premise, right? And then the conclusion, which leads to action.
Mm-hmm.
And then he talks about how the universal premise can either be in first act or second act.
Okay.
Um, and I think this translation translates that as like whether the universal premise is habitual or active in the mind, right? Um, and so yeah, okay, so this is closer to just 1147A1.
Okay.
Further, since there are two kinds of premises, namely the universal and the particular, nothing prevents someone who holds both from acting contrary to the science he possesses, because he makes use of the universal premise, but not the particular one. Matters of action being, of course, particulars. And then, so a little bit further down, he says, as an example, as to whether this particular food here is of a particular character,
Mm-hmm.
the person lacking self restraint, the incontinent man, either does not have uh, that knowledge or is not exercising it. And there he's talking about the universal premise.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think. Hold on.
I think that's how I'm reading it.
Yeah, there's also a relevant difference between.
Yeah, because he might not know the universal either by habit or in this particular case. And there is so much difference in the modes of knowing, it should not seem unreasonable for one who acts incontinently to know in one manner, yet it would be astonishing for him to know in another.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So that's the part I'm gonna have a question about. So I'll read the translation I have as well. And so, given these different ways of knowing, namely first act and second act, a massive difference will arise such that for the person lacking self restraint to know in the one way, that is, to know in principle the relevant universal, but not to know or to be activating his knowledge of a given particular,
Mm-hmm.
seems to be nothing strange.
Mm-hmm.
But in the other way, that is, knowing and having active in him both kinds of premises, it would indeed be a cause for wonder. So it would be so. So it sounds like what he's saying is that the strange thing would be if he had both the universal and the particular premise
Yeah.
in
If he's
the
incontinent.
second act.
Yeah.
Second act, right?
Yeah. If
Not
he's
habitual.
if he's incontinent.
If he's incontinent, that would
Yeah.
be strange.
Yeah. It would be because it would be strange for the person who recognizes as a universal good and recognizes that good in the particular, for him to act incontinent. Right. That's what would be kind of astonishing.
Yeah. If he
Right.
I don't even know how to put this in an adverbial form, but like if he like second actually
Yeah. I guess
secondarily actually, I don't know. Recognizes a particular to be I suppose exemplifying the universal. Right? Because at that point he must be I guess that makes sense. He must be activating the universal premise in his mind. If he recognizes it in a particular, he has it in the forefront. He has the universal in the forefront of his mind. Okay.
Yeah. So if he were to know, both of those things and still act incontinently, you would rightfully be like, what the hell?
Yeah. So I guess then I'm not sure I understand because so here the translators give a footnote where they quote Aquinas in his commentary. And they don't say whether Aquinas' commentary is good or bad. They just give the quote, which to me suggests that they think it's good or at least worth reading. That's clarifying, which is nice. So the way that St. Thomas puts it here in the footnote is therefore it does not seem unreasonable for a man who acts incontinently to have one kind of knowledge, that is universal alone or even particular, if it is habitual and not actual.
Yes.
But it would seem unreasonable for the man who acts continently with self-restraint to have another kind of knowledge, i.e. actual, concerned with this particular. I don't really.
I'm not reading continent there. I'm reading. Is this?
Yeah, I know. This is from the. This is why I'm not sure why. This is why this quote from St. Thomas confuses.
Yeah. If I'm reading the same part of the commentary, these various modes of knowing differs so much that it does not seem unreasonable for a man who acts incontinently to have one kind of knowledge, namely universal alone or even particular, if it is habitual but not actual. But it would seem unreasonable for the man who acts incontinently to have another kind of knowledge, namely actual, concerning the particular.
Oh man, is that just a typo?
I would think so.
That'd be hilarious.
Well, let me.
Yeah, put it up on screen.
Yeah, let's see if so you can look at it too. Where are we here?
Do you have the Latin on the?
Yeah, it's right here.
Nice. Okay.
And I think this is the footnote. And it is incontinentare.
Yeah, it seems like they just copied and pasted this translation actually. Okay, hold on. Therefore, it does not seem unreasonable for a man who acts incontinently. Okay, but it would seem unreasonable for the man who acts incontinently. Okay. Si autem alio modo sciret ille quid incontinenter. It's just a freaking typo, man. I was getting all screwed up in the head over a typo. God, that's annoying. Okay. All right. Well, that makes a lot more sense. So okay. So then that implies then that the man who acts incontinently either doesn't have the universal or has it habitually
Mm-hmm.
and not in the forefront of his mind.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When he says unreasonable here,
Yeah, or also doesn't recognize it in the particular.
right? Yeah.
But the
right.
but the one concerning the universal is correct.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, because if he, yeah, because that would have to be the case if he didn't recognize it in the particular.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I guess so. He wouldn't have it. Yeah, he wouldn't have the.
he either wouldn't have it or it would be in the back of his mind.
Yeah.
And not thinking about it. Yeah, and because I think part of the point here is that he's arguing against Socrates. So here St. Thomas is, so what appeared impossible to Socrates according to these various modes of knowing differs so much that it does not seem unreasonable for a man who acts incontinently to have one kind of knowledge. So the problem, it seems like the problem or the mistake that Socrates was making was that Socrates thought it was in, yeah, because he said that no one who had the knowledge would act contrary to the knowledge that he had.
Yeah, that was it, right? Virtue is knowledge.
Yeah, but he failed to make the distinction that Aristotle is making between first and second act of knowing, right?
Yeah.
You can both sort of quote unquote have and not have.
Yeah. In one sense and not in the other.
Right. Yeah. Okay.